you're going to design any form of education, here's the first step. I call it Alfred's syllabus strategy. I met a chap once named Alfred. He was a science teacher for 30 years. And he told me the first day of class, in like a middle school context, first day of class, everybody comes in. Instead of reviewing the syllabus, handing everybody a packet, he just said, hey everybody, we're going to spend the whole year learning about science. We're going to spend this whole class with me asking you one question, which is, what are your questions about the natural world? For example, why is fire hot? Do you know? Why is fire hot, right? And so he shared a couple examples, and then he let everybody think for a minute, and then they just had a giant, crazy, middle school energy class question storm that was, why do butterflies' wings flap this way? Why do they have 4 sections? Why is a monarch orange? Literally 40 minutes of just crazy questions about the natural world. He recorded all of these, wrote down as many as he could, little snapshots, and at the end, right when the bell was about to ring, he said, whew, thank you everybody. Thank you for planning our syllabus for the rest of the year. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. And he took all of the group's curiosities, what they cared about, what mattered to them, what they were interested in, what they were excited about, and he taught his curriculum, but he weaved in their questions all throughout. What a profound way to personalize learning. Now, I'm not advising that you do exactly that when you design every single training. The lesson or magic to be learned here is what Alfred tapped into is the first step in the training design process is tapping into what does your audience actually care about? And I would call this, the umbrella that I would give this is the context hook. Because let's say you have 50 people coming into a new onboarding training to an organization. You have 50 people coming in. They're attending because they're getting paid. The first step in the training design process is not really counting, not assuming that their attendance actually, yeah, that's the right way, leads to their attention, right? So the first step in the training design process is doing something to take and convert their attendance into attention. If this is our first time meeting on the channel, I get to do this for a living. I've carved out a niche teaching people how to design really engaging, memorable, lasting training. So whether it's working with 150 internal trainers at a pharma company or teaching 1,500 nurse educators how to onboard and educate and train up all their nursing staff that gets hired. Mutual friend Jonathan Courtney, who runs facilitator.com. We met in Berlin for a couple days, and he said, after spending a couple days together, he's like, I think, Chad, you might be the training whisperer, the trainer whisperer, right? It's like you have this ability to take what otherwise would be relatively boring content, and there's a passion of mine. I love taking content, plugging into this side of my head, and popping it out the other side as an experience. Because that's probably step 2 in the training process is taking whatever you need to get into people's heads, right? Let's say you have all this content. Ideally, you put that on a USB drive and then just plug it into somebody's brain. Except that doesn't work yet. And so the next best thing is inviting them into stop. In fact, just stop training. Just stop training, right? Start inviting people into small, medium, big experiences where they get to actually interact with and pass the material and the content and the ideas through their brain, not just receive it in a one-way PowerPoint. So here I am telling you, let me show you. My actual first step to design any training is getting a blank piece of paper. And this is even if you have a mandated training that has 50 slides that you must present this context because it's some law or something, doesn't matter. I'm still getting a blank piece of paper and I'm writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the practical or tactical foundation of what I would call the contribution method. And for me, the contribution method is the way to design any training, any presentation in a way that actually cuts your prep in half, cuts your prep time in half at minimum, cuts your prep time in half or more, but doubles your impact. And that is a promise I'm willing to stand by. If that doesn't happen for you when you really masterfully practice the contribution method, you can write me an angry email. And if you want, this is what I'm holding up here. I should explain. This is a free field guide that should super not be free. This is like an immense amount of value that I packed into here. And I am giving it to you for free. And so even like one of the pages is literally a will your next session land checklist. And so whatever thing is on your calendar coming up, if you just print it just for this, to go through and check these 5 boxes with this method, I would say that I can actually predict whether your next training or session will land or not based on what's on that checklist. And so there hopefully is a link below. I'm Chad. I do this for a weird job for a living, and I also gather a bunch of other people who do it for a living a couple times a year. And so feel free to check out the website and come to the Connector Summit or the Contribution Method Masterclass, which each only happen once per year. Have an awesome day.